How you guys doing today? It's Anthony Ganji. Welcome to another episode of Tier Talk. Guys, I'm going to give you real quick 10 hidden truths about the Christopher Scholtes case. We've covered this in a video I just did, so if you guys want to check it out, it's in full detail, including the latest update. I put it up yesterday, but let me just show you a quick little video of the latest update and get you a little familiarity with the case. And then I'm going to give you 10 lesser-known facts that were all sent my way today that I think that you guys would find extremely interesting. So here we go.
This afternoon, we're also learning new details about a father who pled guilty in the hot car death of his 2-year-old daughter.
Christopher Scholtes found dead last night, the night before he was supposed to turn himself in to authorities for this crime. 12 News journalist Tricia Hendricks live with what we know. So what's going on here, Tricia?
This is a difficult case all the way around Troy Tram. Christopher Scholtes was supposed to appear for a hearing in Pima County Superior Court to be taken into custody this morning. That was as part of his plea agreement, but he didn't show up. This video captured in a previous hearing, but today, when Scholtes failed to appear, his attorney and prosecutors appeared to be concerned and emotional. The Pima County Attorney's Office just confirming within the hour that he took his own life last night. We went to the home where he was reportedly currently living with family in Phoenix. And clearly someone was home. No one answered the door. However, we did speak with a woman passing by who told us her niece is his oldest daughter. Here's how she reacted.
This world is a better place without Christopher Scholtes. He abused my niece for years. This is justice.
In July of 2024, Scholtes' 2-year-old daughter died after being left in a hot car for hours. Temperatures far past 100 degrees. Investigators say that he was distracted playing video games inside the home while his daughter slept in the back seat of the car. He was looking to spend up to 30 years behind bars. This after pleading guilty to second-degree murder and child abuse. Coming up on 12 News at 5, we're going to have more details surrounding this disturbing case. Tricia Hendricks, 12 News.
So Tricia, the woman you spoke to, was she talking about the girl who died or a different girl, a different niece that she says he was abusing?
A different daughter. So there's 4 children total.
Sorry about that. That took a second. So guys, that was just kind of like a latest update, but I wanted to kind of, and for those that may not be familiar with the case, I would recommend before we do this, you check out the video I did yesterday. But I wanted to give you 10 lesser known facts. These facts started coming my way just now because obviously he had already accepted a deal, which looked like it was second-degree murder, looking at 20 to 30 years, something like that. So it wasn't going to trial. But with that said, some people said that at one point it could have went to trial. So these are the things that could have happened. And some of these things are very interesting. A couple of the facts we already know from yesterday's episode. So I may have to reiterate some of those. But check this out. Number one, the pornography search evidence was suppressed. Prosecutors had uncovered digital evidence showing that while 2-year-old Parker was trapped in the hot car, Christopher Scholtes used his PlayStation to search for pornography. They intended to present it as proof of his state of mind, showing not distraction, but deliberate indulgence while his daughter died outside. However, Judge Kimberly Ortiz ruled on October 15, 2025, that this material could not be shown to the jury, calling it unduly prejudicial. Had the case gone to trial, this evidence, arguably one of the most incriminating elements, would have been off limits. That single ruling gave the defense a massive tactical advantage and helped push prosecutors towards negotiating a plea instead of risking a weaker presentation to a jury. Interesting, huh? I thought that was interesting. I didn't know that. I found that out. I did know about this, but not as detailed, but the civil lawsuit filed by his oldest daughter. So just weeks before his death, Scholtes' oldest daughter from his first marriage. So it's Scholtes' second wife. Dr. Erica Scholtes is his second wife. So Scholtes' older daughter from his first marriage, who was turning 18 that November, filed a civil lawsuit accusing him and his second wife, Dr. Erica Scholtes, of emotional abuse and neglect. So you got Erica involved in something too, because it's a civil lawsuit from the daughter. Her complaint alleged years of screaming, humiliation, and being left in vehicles alone, a clear echo of Parker's fatal circumstances. That civil case still pending against his estate could surface new testimony and documents that were never introduced in criminal court. It also signaled that Scholtes' behavior wasn't an isolated event, but part of a long-term pattern that the justice system failed to stop. So it's going to be interesting if this does happen. We'll know more. I mean, all because he's dead. If there was secrets in that home, we're going to know a little bit more because of the civil lawsuit. So I don't know how that's going to look for his wife, Erica, but that's going to be interesting to see if that unfolds, how that's going to unfold. I would love your thoughts because there's people commenting right now that's very upset with the wife. I mean, the discovered patterns, the trip to Hawaii. So people are commenting on that and they feel that there's something else here not being said. So I just made me think, let's see what else I can find. And people have been nice enough to send me a lot of these hidden truths. We talked about this in yesterday's episode, but just to cover it again, 9 DCS investigations that led nowhere. So between 2014 and 2020, Arizona's Department of Child Safety investigated Scholtes 9 separate times for various abuse or neglect allegations. Each case was unsubstantiated and closed without protective action, despite repeated complaints, including reports that he slapped his children, called them mistakes, and interfered with therapy recommending for one of his daughters. Therapy that was recommended for one of his daughters. This failure left every child in his care vulnerable. Had the case gone to trial, prosecutors could have fought to use these DCS reports as prior bad act evidence, but Arizona's evidence rules makes that difficult, so most of it likely would have been excluded. And by the way, unsubstantiated is not the same as unfounded. Unsubstantiated means there wasn't enough evidence to go either way, so there could still be a problem in the home. So it doesn't mean you forget about it. It means, yeah, you better put your eyes closer to it, because sometimes unsubstantiated cases are the warnings. That's what people have to remember. It's unsubstantiated, but it's not unfounded. Unfounded is where it's the lie and there's evidence against it, but unsubstantiated means can't prove either way. So we better stay close. Unsubstantiated is not a conclusion. It's, if anything, maybe a warning to look a little closer, pay attention a little more. We talked about this yesterday, but he vacationed in Hawaii while charged with murder. Perhaps the most controversial decision came when the judge allowed Scholtes to travel to Maui with his family months after his arrest. Prosecutors objected, citing the seriousness of the charges and public outrage, but the court ruled that Scholtes had complied with prior release terms and wasn't a flight risk. And then there's a video, if you guys get a chance. It was like a court teleconference or court video conference, and you see the wife, Erica, speaking on behalf of her husband, also calling him like a pillar of the community. And then she asks for the trip to Hawaii at that point too. It's mentioned in there. So again, prosecutors objected, citing the seriousness of the charges and public outrage, but the court ruled that Scholtes had complied with prior release terms and wasn't a flight risk. Under supervision rules, no alcohol, no unsupervised contact with minors, and mandatory check-ins, and the trip was approved. The family went. The image of a father accused of killing his toddler vacation in Hawaii became one of the most glaring examples of judicial leniency in a child death case. He never spent a day behind bars from the time of his arrest in July of 2024 until his death in November of 2025. Christopher Scholtes never spent a single day in jail. He was released without bond and lived freely under standard pretrial monitoring. His suicide on the very morning he was to surrender for sentences ensured he would never spend one day. The car auto shutoff feature turned neglect into homicide. This is just something we did talk about in the last video, but it's extremely important if this was to go to court, because he admitted to knowing that the feature turns off. That's why when he gets interviewed at his house, he says 30 to 45 minutes. Later to find out it was over 3 hours. So he lied. A key piece of evidence was that Scholtes knew his Acura MDX had an auto shutoff that would kill the engine after about 30 minutes, a fact he acknowledged to investigators. That knowledge is what elevated the case from negligence to second-degree murder. That simple statement. Oh, I knew it had a 30-minute function. You knew, and you left her there? And then you lie and said it was 30 to 45 minutes when it was 3 hours and change? He didn't just forget. He knowingly relied on a feature that would fail, and it did. That distinction would have been central to the prosecution's theory of extreme indifference to human life. How the defense planned to win this with the jury. If the case had gone to trial, the defense was ready to argue that Scholtes was distracted, not depraved. They would claim Parker's death was a result of human error compounded by exhaustion, not malicious intent. By suppressing the pornography evidence and limiting the DCS history, the defense could portray him as a flawed but grieving father, not a criminally reckless one. So you see that they get to eliminate the evidence to paint the picture of the person they want people to see, as opposed to with the evidence, the context of who that person really is. That, to me, that's extremely interesting that, oh, this goes counter to how I want to paint him, so we can't use this, we can't use this. So what does the jury get? The jury gets what is not truthful, but what is rather a picture that is extremely, extremely filtered. Defense experts were reportedly prepared to testify about memory lapse phenomenon common in hot car deaths, a recognized though rare psychological lapse where routine overrides conscious thought. And guys, I did a video on that, so check my post board. I posted it up. The strategy would have placed jurors in a moral gray area. Was he careless or was he evil? That ambiguity could have made conviction far less certain. A major reason prosecutors accepted a plea rather than risk a divided jury, because they knew if they couldn't get this evidence to go in to paint him as who he was, then unfortunately we're going to have to go with this and accept what's coming our way. So, and it's a shame because that does show who this person really is. He wasn't forgetful or distracted. You know, he really was a person that was depraved. He had no care for that child in that car. I'm sorry. It is what it is. Because it's a pattern of it too. You know, a pattern tells you who someone really is. So you have to expose the pattern. Because if you don't expose the pattern, then you get a one-off. This wasn't a one-off. This was a pattern. And I'm sorry. Once, maybe. Twice, 3, 4. No. And you have to introduce the pattern. And to deny the jury that, even if I was like, you know what, if you're not going to give us a chance to paint who he really is, then we better figure out something here and see if we can get something to settle into. His death voided the conviction because Scholtes died before sentencing. His guilty plea was legally vacated. Arizona follows the doctrine of abatement ab initio. We talked about this yesterday, meaning the conviction disappears if a defendant dies before judgment. So despite confessing to killing his daughter, he died without a criminal record of it. The family received no sentencing, no restitution, no closure. The role of his first family. So Scholtes' first marriage and the allegation from his older daughter would have posed an enormous challenge for the defense if the case had gone to trial. Prosecutors could have tried to show that Parker's death followed a pattern of escalating neglect across two family systems. The defense, however, would have fought to exclude any such references as prejudicial. Prejudicial. It's a pattern. You know, it's not I get one off, maybe. But when it becomes a pattern, that's who the person is. So if you would say if this only happened once, we want to not utilize that, okay, because that's okay. But the pattern is who the person is. And the pattern has to be allowed because that's who the person is. The existence of those prior family allegations helps explain why the plea deal came so late. Both sides knew that a full trial risked exposing a devastating record of prior behavior. And the case may lead to Parker's Law. Following Scholtes' death, child safety advocates, including Cynthia King, Parker's grandmother, began working with Arizona lawmakers on proposed legislation to tighten bail restrictions and judicial discretion in child death cases. Unofficially dubbed Parker's Law, the effort seeks to require mandatory detention for defendants charged with fatal child neglect and to strengthen DCS oversight when multiple investigations occur within one family. Guys, we see this in Jacqueline Torres, Emmanuel Harrow, Melody Buzzard. Again, so that's when you have multiple investigations occur within one family. The proposal hasn't yet been filed, but it reflects how Parker's story may still drive systemic change. So behind the headlines of a father who left his toddler to die in a hot car lies a case defined by judicial leniency, evidentiary suppression, and strategic defense lawyering. Had the case gone to trial, the jury might never have heard about the pornography search, the 9 DCS investigations, or the abuse allegations from his first family. Instead, the defense was poised to argue forgetfulness, not murder, a narrative powerful enough to win sympathy or at least create doubt. The plea avoided that gamble. His suicide ended it. And the unanswered questions that still lingers is not only why he did it, but how the system let him get that far in the first place. Hey, guys, if you like the content, don't forget I do have Donate Me a Cup of Coffee. I have the link to that in the description. And I also have it in front of my YouTube channel. And as always, guys, stay safe.